Hello, welcome to today's video. I'm going to show you guys how to set up a wireless router and also go over kind of what a router is, because I know there is some confusion out there between like a modem and a router and what you should look for when you're buying a new router and that kind of thing. So I'll do a brief overview of that, then to show you how to both physically set up your new router and how to do the software installation when you're actually setting it up to sync to your internet connection. So first of all, what is a wireless router? Dictionary definition I pulled up is a device that forwards packets to the appropriate parts of a computer network. Now, basically, for the average person, what it does is gives you wireless connection from your devices to your internet provider, so you can access the internet without cables going to every device. And since more and more devices are wireless now, that's its main function, but really it's just literally it's right in the name. It routes traffic from your devices to go out to the internet and between each other, because there's a lot of programs now like that'll route traffic or route data between your different devices, whether wired or wireless, to your router. For example, I just noticed I was listening to Spotify today on my phone, and it told me that I could stream wirelessly to my PS4 that it had detected from my router, just because it was connected to it. So your router is just a piece of equipment that lets you route traffic to the internet. Now, another thing is that you do not have to have a router to use your internet at home. You can plug in your equipment directly to the modem or equip that your internet service provider gives you. However, in a lot of cases, if you're not using a router, there might only be one or two Ethernet ports on there, and then you won't be able to connect to anything wirelessly. And if you are able to connect wirelessly, usually the internet company charges a fee for using their wireless feature on their modem/modem router combo package. So I would say it's much easier just to have your own router and take care of that yourself and save yourself the money. Now I know there's a lot of confusion out there between since I just mentioned it, what is a modem and what is a router. So a modem is the device that gives you connection out to your internet providers. That'd be like if you have cable, it's like a little cable modem, as you can see here, the device I'm about to tell you about that has the actual screw in for the cable, or if you have DSL, your phone line will connect to it, or if you have a fixed wireless connection out in the country, the line will come in through the wall into most likely a power over Ethernet ejector for your antenna and plug into um, your router, but the actual antenna itself will most likely be your modem, and that'll be outside the house in that case. Now, a, a router will just give you all your devices connection to your modem to get out to the internet. Now, there are devices that are both routers and modems. As you can see, the back of this here is actually a Netgear N600 modem router combo, which is a cable modem. So it has the screw in for the cable, and it'll give you wireless connection in your home and a couple of Ethernet ports to connect some wired devices. Now, the reason I have a picture of both of these here is to show you the difference between a normal router and a modem. A modem will have your connection, like so this could be, like I said, a telephone line or a cable line, depending on what kind of service you have. But a normal wireless router won't have that. It'll just have approximately 5 Ethernet ports to go, and one of them will be to plug into the modem to get you connection. So in this case, you'll need two devices to connect to the internet. And I'll show you that in a minute when I show you how to physically set up the connection from the router to the modem, how and where those will get connected to. But right now I just want to show you just kind of the difference between what the back of a router looks like and the back of a modem looks like, so you're not trying to use one device or the other. Now, I do work for an internet provider, and I do get a lot of questions about when people's routers do go out, what kind of should they get? And the first thing people ask me is what kind of brand should they get? Personally, I like Netgear and ASUS the best. I find those to be pretty decent quality. I know with Netgear, sometimes they put them in what's called access point mode, and for the fixed wireless company that I work for, we don't want that. We want them just to be functioning as a router, not an access point. But besides that, that's fine. The only ones for brands that I tend not to recommend are Belkin and Linksys, only because I see a lot of, I get a lot of calls about a lot of people who have problems setting those two up. And the reason is that Belkin has always kind of not been great for customers, as the pattern I've noticed. And then as of a year and a half ago, Belkin bought the Linksys brand from Cisco. Before that, Linksys was a great router to have because of Cisco's huge networking experience as an industry. But since Belkin has bought in the Linksys brand from Cisco, I've seen people just have just as much trouble hooking newer versions of those up as they do with Belkin routers. So I just personally don't recommend them because I see a higher, not just, I wouldn't say failure rate, but higher difficulty getting them hooked up to the internet than with like a Netgear router, an ASUS router, or TP-Link or D-Link or anything else out there. Another thing we want to look at when getting a new router is if it's a dual band, which means instead of just having the one 2.4 gigahertz wireless frequency, they will have a 2.4 gigahertz and a 5 gigahertz frequency, which is the advantages you have, besides just having more than one frequency, is with the 5 gigahertz frequency is a stronger connection, and it'll be more reliable than the 2.4, and it's not as likely to interfere with your home appliances such as home phones. Even microwaves that put out the 2.4 gigahertz will interfere with your router if it's close enough. Now, the disadvantage of using the 5 gigahertz channel on the router is if you're up up a floor and like a few walls over, it does not have as much penetrating power through walls as the 2.4 gigahertz does. So if you don't have you don't have some of those older appliances like a home phone or a microwave way off in the kitchen and not the router isn't out there, then most likely it's going to be fine. Well, like I said, for a stronger connection, and 5 gigahertz will also put out better speed than the 2.4 gigahertz, but that more depends on the speed you're getting from your internet provider as well. And I just realized I didn't put this in the list, but I'm going to put this in here just as a brief mention, is that I know when people go shopping for routers, I have seen it happen before where the guy at, Best Buy or whichever store out there will tell them that if you buy this $300 router, your internet will be faster, which is simply not true. If you look on your bill from your internet company, the speeds that you're paying for them in megabits per second, that's the maximum speed you're going to get. Buying the newest, flashiest router will not make it faster. It might give you better features and better management over your speed and be able to give you options on how to divide out your bandwidth to the people in your house and to the different devices, so that one device by itself isn't getting most of the bandwidth or nobody's getting priority or somebody else, but it will not increase your speed. It won't happen. So don't fall for that line that getting the more expensive one will get you better speed, because it won't. And the other thing I did put on this list was the WPS feature, or wireless protected setup, which is a feature on a lot of newer routers. There usually is a button that usually says WPS or has a little lock that glows. And what that does, it lets you wirelessly connect devices. Even if you don't remember your password, you can just push that button and it'll sync the device to the router. And not all routers have this. And I know some companies who rent out routers, it's a feature that's not on there. So if you're a person who has a wireless printer and you want to hook that up, you you want to make sure the router you're getting has that WPS feature, or else you won't be able to use that. Computers will work fine, but if it's any other devices, like a printer, it won't work unless you have the WPS feature. Now let's go to the next slide, and I'll be able to tell you about how to get online and access web pages to your router, either by IP address or their web address. If you don't have a CD that came with your router, or you didn't have the pamphlet that came with it, whatever the case may be, that shows the typical IP address and the internet address. If you can't remember the number, to actually go in the web interface to type this in to actually get on your router. And so, and also to let you know, some people get this confused too. When you're first hooking up the router, you do not need internet connection to type these addresses into your browser. This is just an interface between the computer and the router. So as long as your computer is connected either wirelessly or with a cable to the router, you can still access it without actually having internet connection. So as you see here, most of them are going to be for the IP addresses 192.168.1.1. Some of them, as you can also for Belkin or D-Link, are .2.1 or .0.1. Now, like I said, I also have the actual words in case people can't remember the actual numbers. As far as I know, these are all currently up to date, but if there is newer ones, please let me know or write in the comments so people are not confused as to which ones to go to, because they might change with newer models of routers down the road. But now we're going to go off to the actual physical setup, and then we're going to come back to the computer and show you how to do the software side to finish the setup here. Okay, so here I have a modem from my cable company and my wireless router that I purchased about a month ago. I'm going to show you guys how to physically set that up before you do your wireless setup. Well, not wireless, but the actual software setup on your computer to actually configure the router to work with your internet connection. And so what you're going to need is your modem, which in this case here's the Cisco one I have from my local cable company, and of course your router, and then an Ethernet cable to connect to them. Now with the modem I have here, the back of it has 4 Ethernet ports, and for this part you can connect to any of the 4. I'm just going to do the first one here. Now, like I said in the first part of the video, you don't need a router to have internet connection. You could just plug a computer directly into any of these ports. However, if you do that, then you're not going to have, or most likely not going to have, wireless connectivity for all the devices in your home. Now, some cable companies, or just internet companies in general, like the one I have, they do provide a wireless service from their modems, but usually they charge monthly along with the actual modem rental fee. So it's still, in the long run, cheaper if you're going to use Wi-Fi to have your own router than to pay a fee monthly to use theirs. Now here you have the ASUS router that I bought about a month ago, the RT56R. Let me put that back there. And as you can see, it's just on. It's not plugged in or anything. The power light is on, and the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz light is on, but there's no internet connection yet. Now you want to connect this on the back. As you'll see here, there are 4 Ethernet ports and there are 5 Ethernet ports, 4 for your device that connect into your home, and the 5th one here, the blue one, is for your internet connection. You'll see one because it's offset from the rest of them, and the little internet symbol that's on the front of it also has a light in the front for internet. I don't know if you can see it here in the video, but it's right here. It's not lit up that because nothing's plugged in. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the cable from the modem into the blue port here, and that light will light up. It might take a few seconds here, but that'll come on. There it goes. So now there is internet connection physically going from my modem to my router. As you can see, the modem did take a few moments to detect that. But for this side, it doesn't matter what you connect it to, like I said, but on the router side, if you connect it to any of the ports that aren't the blue port, it might cause problems with your connection, because I know for the internet company I work for now, if you plug it in to the port that's not the internet port on the router going from our equipment, it will show up all your devices on our network like as if you didn't have a router at all. But now that we got that done, let's go back to the computer and show you how to do the setup on the software side to get that up and working. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the CD that came with that. Some of you guys might not have a CD, but that's fine. In your case, you just want to use the IP address I provided earlier in the video, or the web address to access your wireless router. But you should also have a little pamphlet that came with the router to show you how to get to that far if it's not one of the ones listed earlier in the video. I almost forgot here that one of the more important things is you don't need to do this with a lot of the newer ones because they do let you hook up to it wirelessly with a default Wi-Fi key. But I like to actually hook my computer in when I first get the router with an Ethernet cable, and I'll just plug that into one of the other Ethernet slots on here. Because that way, if you do it that way, you're guaranteed your connection won't drop while you're trying to set it up. So I'll just go ahead and plug that in, and now we'll go back and actually do the software setup. Okay, welcome back, guys. I actually decided I'm going to use the web interface to do the configuration router instead of the CD, because most likely the newer routers aren't going to come with a CD, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it this way so you'll be more prepared. So the internet address for this, like I said in the list here, is 192.168.1.1. I think the other one was ASUS.router, but I'm just going to do the IP address here, hit enter, and it will load up the interface of our router. Welcome to the ASUS networking family. I'm going to hit go. And here's where it wants us to actually change our default logon from the original one of just admin. So even though, rule of thumb, you want a more secure password, both for your Wi-Fi password and your login password, you want a more secure password, just like password or a number or a word. So I'm going to show you just by taking a word and adding a number and a symbol and things like that into it and making it much more secure. So if we just take the word password and do capital P, @ symbol, SSW0RD, and exclamation point at the end, it went from very weak password to a strong password. I'm going to do the same thing to confirm it here. So exclamation point. Just to make sure those match, going to hit next. Now it's detecting a connection from my cable company. And now it's going to show my network IDs for my 2.4 and my 5 gigahertz. So I'm just going to put my name here, and most people do that. Just know that it's theirs if they live close proximity to their neighbors, so they know which one is their Wi-Fi. I'm just going to name it my name and 2.4G and 5G, so I know which one is which. And what I'm going to do, and what you can do to make remembering which password is which simpler, is I'm just going to make the router password for Wi-Fi and the login password for the router interface the same password here. I am going to change it afterwards, but like I said, I'm just showing you a generic way that you can make a normal, weaker password stronger. Again, capital P, @ symbol, SSW0RD, exclamation point, and I'm going to just check the box to copy that over and hit apply. And that'll save that Chrome. Yep, I want to save that in Chrome so I don't forget it. Hit next. And at this point, it should take us to the main interface page for our router when it's done configuring this here. And like I said, I am going to change this back to a different password, just in case anybody thinks watching this video that they have the password for my router. I am going to change it. But I wanted to show you guys a basic password to start off with that's still secure, but how you can adapt that to having a more secure password at home. So down here we have the interface page of our router. And it says we have internet status is connected. We have a public IP address for internet company. So I'm just going to open up a new tab here to make sure I have connection. Going to Google. And oops, I guess I had extra there. It's trying to load up something else. So I'm just going to go to just google.com. And there we go. Google's webpage came up. So yeah, so we're all set up here. So thanks guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any more ideas for videos you'd like me to do in the future, please leave a comment down below. Thanks guys. I'll see you in the next one.